Hello and welcome to this section on intermediate HTML. Now that we have looked into the basic tags in HTML, let's look at some of the interesting things in HTML. Okay, so this is the section objective. After completing the section, you will be able to learn how to create tables with rows and columns, and then you'll understand how to embed contents like images, video and audio, how to embed them into the HTML pages. Then we'll do an exercise where we'll create a website called as music download website, where we will attach some music files and then we'll create some headings and paragraphs, and then we will try to give them links so that they can click and download the music files. Okay, then we'll work with forms. We'll create different types of forms and we'll understand how to create all those form elements. Then part of the exercise, we'll create a contact form and understand how to create a simple contact form with the learnings that we have with the forms. Then we'll look at different tags like meta tags, div, span tags, white spaces, HTML entities, and case sensitivity of the HTML page. Okay. Then we'll look at iframes, where we'll display multiple pages into the single pages. We'll do a simple exercise to create a tutorial site wherein you with the frames, and then we'll understand how to navigate between different pages in the same page. Then we'll look at additional HTML tags. There will be tons of reference I'll give you for your future HTML references. Then there are also exercises where you can go ahead and practice all these things for your better understanding of HTML tags. Okay, so that's the topics that we're going to cover in this section. Then let's start the topic now. Hello and welcome to the lecture on creating tables. So we have finished introduction to HTML. So let's go ahead and create another folder. Okay, let's create a folder called creating tables. Okay, and we'll create a file called tables.html. Right, so when we head over to the brackets, we are still pointing to introduction to HTML, so we'll change that. Instead of that, we'll go to intermediate HTML. I will select that folder. Okay, so now you have this folder ready. So we'll create all the exercises here, and then we'll use the intermediate HTML folder. Anyway, we also need the boilerplate, so I'm going to open that boilerplate. Okay, and keep it ready. So let's create the tables. Okay, I'm going to say tables. Change the heading to table. So we're going to do two examples, and we're going to see there are two ways to write a table. So we're going to see both the ways. Okay, and how do you write a table? First we'll say this is sample one. Okay, there's a tag called table. Okay, using table you write tables. Okay, and in tables you have three things. First you have the heading, then you have the row, and then you have your columns. Right, so first thing we do is we always write rows. Okay, the row is written with RTR. Right, R denotes row, and inside rows you have something called as TD. Okay, that's nothing but your columns. Okay, so anything that you want to add a new row, you create new rows like this, and if you want to have columns, then you add like this. Okay, these are columns inside the HTML page. For the table, we have to create the heading first. So let's create the heading. So to create the heading, there is one more element called as TH, that is the heading. So here you will add the column names. So I'm say column name 1 and column name 2. Okay, once you add a row for that heading, then you have to add another row for the data. Right, so let's add the data now. So I'm say content 1, that's nothing but your column. Okay, what you're trying to do here is this is the first column, this is the first content in that column, and then you're gonna have second column, and this is the content in the second column. Okay, and how you're creating the new lines inside the table, you're using the TR, which is nothing but the rows. Okay, so after this we're going to write a new line, and then let's look at an output of this table. Okay, so here you can see you have a table, that's the H1. Then you have column name 1, that is th, this again the th, then you have td, and then you have the td. So you see the new lines here. The table has new row. That row is coming up from this tr. Okay, and then td are nothing but your columns. Okay, the columns are column 1, content 1 and content 2, column name 1 and column name 2. The row is basically the new line, that is a new entry inside the table. Okay, so let's create one more sample of how to create the same table. So I'm gonna add h1 and I'm gonna say table example 2, and I have the sample 2. Obviously we're gonna have the table. So anything that you write as a table, you have to define inside the table. Okay, you also have a tag called caption. Okay, you can say table caption. Move it here so that you can see the output. Okay, then you have something called as table heading, right? Okay, how do you create a table heading? We saw that we can create a row and then th. It's also called as t-head. Okay, using t-head also you can create the headings, and inside the t-head you have to now write the row. Okay, and you can say column name 1 and column name 2. This is your headings. Okay, and then you can have the footer also for your table. So footer we can write right after the heading. Okay, remember that. So it is tfoot. These are basically the HTML tags from the specification. They say you can even use this way to create the tables. Okay, and we can say footer. Right, now goes your content. Okay, now this is the table body. Okay, you can use t body, and inside the t body you can write your actual content. Now you can define the row and then you can define the columns. Okay, from the previous example, this example have many other elements in the table. It has caption, it has heading, it has footer, and then it has body. It's up to you which one you want to use. You want to have a caption, head, footer, and basically the body. But typically from my side, I will typically use this because it looks simple and easier. I don't have much of the time, I don't have footer, but if I have footer, I will write outside the table, right? It even does the same job. Maybe we can do that. We can not place this in H, but we can remove and put the. It is just the spacing problem, right? You have little more space when you write a paragraph, but if you write a footer for your table, it's right under the column, right? So it's up to you how you want to write it, but typically I tend towards writing simple tables because it has too much things inside. It's simpler to read as well because you have the heading and then you have the columns. Okay, but if you want something like a table where you have to have a caption, where you want to have a heading, you want to have a footer, and then you have to differentiate between the heading, footer, and the body, then this kind of tags will help you to achieve the same table. All right, so that's all about how to create tables in HTML. So let's create a student table, and then we'll understand how you can populate a real-time data, right? So let's go ahead and quickly create a student table. Okay, let's open that up. Let's use our boilerplate. We can actually use the tables, and we'll create this and we'll remove this section. Part of this exercise, we'll also learn some attributes of the table. Okay, so let's call it as student table. Okay, the first part we will create the columns. we'll create 3 columns for a student: ID, name, and class. Okay, for the content, we'll create the user's content or student content, and then his class. All right, you don't have to copy the heading. We'll copy like 2 more rows, right? We'll call it 202 and 103, 102 and 103, and then we will change the names, right? We'll call him Jane, and then we'll keep him Bob. His 5th standard and his 2nd standard, right? Let's verify this. So that's our table. We have our heading, and when we have 3 rows in it. Okay, and looks nice. Let's add some properties to this table. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is how do you add different kind of properties to the table and make it look nicer. Okay, we are not doing any styling to it, but these are the attributes of the tag which we will be using. Okay, so the first thing is how to add a border. Okay, so we'll say add a border. Okay, how do you add a border? So there's an attribute called border. Okay, you can specify the width of it, and once you say 1, the border will appear. You can increase it by 2, by 3, by 4, by 5, right? So border basically help you to see the format of your table, right? What is the width, or that has been taken care by the text, and then you can play around with it. Once you add spacing to it, then border will help you to see which space or which element or which column is basically taking that space. Okay, so one of the property or attribute of a table is a border, using which you can add a border. Okay, let's create another example. The next example is called as cell spacing. Okay, you can add cell spacing, that is the attribute, and you can mention how many points it is. Px means points. The spacing is basically spacing between the columns, right? If you see here, there are columns like ID and name. What is the space you want between those columns? It is like one column after the column. What is the space that you want for each of these columns? So that's why you see the spacing is outside. Okay, spacing is outside that element. That is called cell spacing. Spacing between 2 different cells. The next one is cell padding. Okay, you can also have cell padding, and it's called as cell and padding. Okay, the cell's padding is basically the space inside the cell. Okay, cell spacing is outside between the 2 cells. Cell padding is the space inside the cell. Okay, so inside the cell you see there's so much space. Now there's a 40 px, that is the all around the text 40 px has been applied, that is the 40 points has been applied. That's the space that has been applied to this cell. You can also mention the width of the table. You can say width, that's another property of the table. And you want to be 50%, right? You want the table width to be 50%. So that's basically, you see the first table, there's no space, and you see this table, so there's space here, right? That space is coming because you specify the width. Next is column span. Let's look at column span. That's one more attribute of a table. Okay, column span is nothing but adding columns together. Let's say you want to add these 2 columns together, you don't want to have this line. Okay, you can do that by specifying any of the columns and say the column span means the width of the span is 2 points, means you occupy the 2 columns. Okay, and because you occupy the 2 columns, you don't have to mention it here, you can mention it here, and then you can remove this column because this column is occupying the 2 column space. Okay, you just mention is equal to here, and you can see the column is being occupied. Okay, this is called as column span. All right, and where do you apply that? You apply onto the column. And if you want a column to occupy n number of columns and then you want to merge columns together, you basically use the col span. Okay, similarly you have row span. Let's look into that. And you want to combine, let me show you that output, right? You want to combine 102 and 103 together. Okay, so if you want to combine 102 and 103 together, you can say 102 and 103. You are clubbing the columns together, right? And I don't want 103 here. Okay, I want to combine these 2 columns here, right? How are you going to do it? You can say row span is equal to 2. Okay, now you can see the row has been added, right? Here you have merged the columns, here you have merged the rows. Okay, that's the property of a row span. Row span merge 2 rows together, column span merge 2 columns together. All right, so those are the some of the attributes. Let's open the page and let's review it once. So first thing we did is we created the student table. We had our headings and then we had our columns, 3 columns. Okay, that's what is this. Then we added a border to have this nice little lines around our columns. Then we looked at cell spacing. Cell spacing is the spacing between 2 different cells. Okay. Then we looked at cell padding. Cell padding is the space inside the cell. Okay. Then we looked at the width. Okay. You see the width 50%, right? Then it takes the half page space, right? Because you say 50%, right? Then there is a col span. Col span is to merge the columns together. Okay, here you can see you have merged 2 columns. And then you have the row span. Row span is to merge the rows together. Okay, so those are the properties: row span, col span, width, cell padding, cell spacing, border. Okay, those are the attributes of a table. Okay, have fun with tables, play around with it, and see any tables that you want to create. Try to play around with it and create the same output with tables. So that's one lecture on tables, and I'll see you in the next one. Hello and welcome to the lecture. Let's see how to embed contents. Okay, so for that we'll create one folder, embed contents, and let's create the file called embed.html. Okay, so I'm going to copy paste the images here and the video here so that we can embed in the HTML page. So here are the files. I have a video, I have an image, and I have an mp3 file. Okay, so let's open this up and let's see how to embed the resources. So I'm going to say embed contents. The first thing we'll do is embed an image. Okay, how do you embed an image inside an HTML page? Okay, there's a tag called image img, and image has an attribute called source to specify what is the file name. So you can see the file name is doc.jpg, and then you can mention the width and the height of your image. Okay, I'm just saying the height, and it's a self-closing tag. You don't need text to display the image. Okay, so this is how you basically display an image. Remember that image is used to, img tag is used to display the image. src is an attribute using which you can mention what is the file name. You can even mention the file name from some site, right? You have some site www.xyz.com/ you can mention all those details also, and then it will be pull those resources from the internet and it will display on your page. Okay, so if you don't mention a path, it will try to search that file inside the same local folder and try to embed that into your HTML page. All right, that's a doc image. Fine, so we will write an horizontal line. and we can also preview that and see how it's coming up. Okay, so that's how then image is embedded onto the web page. Okay, so let's look at how to embed a video. Okay, so you have a video tag for this, and video have width. You can mention what is the width of your video, and then you can mention what is the height of the video. So I'm gonna say 240, and then you can mention what controls you want. I want to define my own controls, so now I'll define the controls, and I will define the source of that file. Okay, so for that, inside the video you have a tag called source, and then you have to mention what is your source. So this is my source. Okay, and what is the type of it, and the type is video / mp4, right? And then if this video is unable to play, you want to show some text, you can say having some issues with the video. If the page is unable to load this video, it will show this text. All right, so you can see the video is embedded here. You can even play the video, right? You can maximize it. You can even play the video, right? So let's look at how to embed the audio file. Let's look at how to add the audio. So for this, you have a tag called audio. Okay, and you're saying I want to handle the controls and autoplay, right? It will start playing automatically. And then obviously you have to say what is the source of it. Same source tag is used. Then you can embed the mp3 file, and this time you have to change the type to say audio / mp3. It's not mp3, is mpeg. Okay, then if that format is not supported, okay, because we say autoplay, it start playing already, right? Now you can say the browser does not support this audio format, right? When that video is unable to play with some, because of some format issues, this text will be shown. All right, so you can remove this autoplay so that the autoplay doesn't work. Okay, now when you refresh the page, you have your image that is coming up from image tag. You have your video coming up from the video tag, and the source is the file name and the type of the video. Then you are able to embed an audio using an audio tag, and then this source is coming up from some file name. Okay, and this text is displayed when this video or audio is unable to display onto the web page. They'll display this text instead of the audio here. That's how you basically embed an image, video, and audio. So I'm going to show you an example. I'm not going to type it, but I'm going to show you how to embed an image and video and audio. To save time, I'm going to copy paste one of the article. Let's review this article first. Okay, the article is very simple. We have worked through how to create heading and how to create the line, how to create subheadings, how to create the paragraphs, how to create the footer. We learned all those things. The only thing that I've done here is adding some of the things. First thing, I have added an image, then I've added a video, then also again I have added a image and then the audio. Okay, and you see how I'm able to add an image and the text right side of it. So let's open the code and review what I have done here. So for that, we'll go to brackets, open the article.html. Okay, so let's review our page. Okay, so the first thing is you have the heading, that is the today's news, right? Then you have section, right? We have created sections in it, and one of the section have article, and it has this heading called German Shepherd. Then if you see the figure, there's a tag called figure in article. This is a tag you're seeing for the first time. So inside the figure you can attach the images, and for each figure you can say what is the caption for that figure. So if you see this is called as fig caption, and inside the figure you have attached the image. Again, you still have to use the image tag to include the image, but you can wrap it around a tag called figure, which is under the article. Okay, like header and footer that you have, you can also include the images using the figure tag, and you want to add a caption to your image, you can say fig caption. Okay, and then you have your paragraph here, right? You have your p tag, and then you have your footer here. Nothing fancy we have done here. We have learned all these things previously. It's just that we have used this figure, and then we have used the image tag to embed this image with some alt. So alt is nothing but when the image is missing, this text is displayed. So if you do this and you refresh, you see the German Shepherd. That's basically your alt. Okay, you want to display a text when the image is not found, that is coming up from the alt. All right, so let's move on. So next we have created a table here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the border so that you know what is the table looks like. Okay, so this is how the table looks like. Okay, it's 2 by 2 column table. So in the table, the first column I've left empty, and the second column I've added the video. And here in these 2 columns, first column you will have an image, and the second column you have the text, and then you have the audio. Okay, so let's review that. So for the table, you have 2 rows, right? You have 2 rows, row 1 and row 2. The first row I've left it empty, so there's an empty space, and how the space is occupied is based on the space that is occupied by the biggest element. So the biggest element is the image, so this space will also be applied to all the other columns as well. Then on the other column, you have added the video, right? You have added the source, so the video has been shown here. Then you have added a row, and in that row you have, then the first column you have shown the image, and on the second column you have basically used something called as v-align. Okay, so v-align, basically you make it on top. Okay, you can even make it bottom. Okay, then the text will go bottom. Because of the width of the image, the bottom is only till here. Okay, but we want to move it on top. Okay, we have aligning the text to the top, and then you are just adding a paragraph with strong listen to his words, and then you are embedding the audio. All right, very simple example, nothing fancy here. So we have removed the border, and now the page looks nicer now. So you have everything that you need to embed into a page. You know how to embed an image, you know how to embed a video, you know how to embed an audio. Okay, so that's all on this lecture on embedding contents, and I'll see you in the next one. Hello and welcome to the lecture on forms. So let's create the forms, and I believe you have done the music download exercise as well. Let's create the forms. Some say working with forms, and I'm going to create 2 files here. I'm going to say getForm.html. Okay, we'll understand how form works, and then we'll look at form elements. Okay, so let's open that code. Let's open our boilerplate as well. Okay, so let's say is get form. Okay, forms, as if you know, forms is basically like a contact form, sign up for, register form, login form. You have these elements like text boxes, check boxes, radio buttons, submit buttons, and all those things you can create in HTML using something called as forms. Okay, and that's what we're going to create in this exercise. So we'll say simple form with get action. We're going to see what is the action means. Okay, and how do you create a form? There's a tag called form. Okay, and using this form tag, you have to define all your elements inside the forms. Always remember, don't define form elements outside the form tag. Always define the form elements inside the form tag. Okay, how you define HTML inside the HTML? Similarly, if you want to define form tags, define inside the form tag. Okay, that is your first rule. And form basically have 2 important properties. The first attribute is called as method, and the method has a parameter called as get or post. Then you have an action. And action is basically telling where you want to go to. When someone submit this form, where you want to go this file to, right? That's coming up from the action. So we'll create result.html, and then we will, and someone click the button, we will go to that page. That how to and where to go to that page is defined by this action. And going from one page to another is taken care by the form. Let's understand what is this method get means. Okay, before that we'll write some fields. We'll write a submit button, reset button, and then we will try to see what is the method called as get. Okay, so how to define a text box and a label. For label, you have label, and label you can basically say for which text box you're writing this label. So I'm say there's a first name, and for the first name I'm writing this label. So after that we'll define what is first name. Okay, and this is the text I want to display. Now I'm saying the input is basically the input box, and you have to say what type it is. Okay, the input type is basically text, so the text box will appear, and you have to say what is the ID for it. Okay, this ID should match with the label for. Okay, right, and you want to show some text inside the text box, you can use placeholder, and you can say enter your first name, right, and then we'll give a name to it. It's a name like a variable name to the input box, so whatever you basically entering into this will be saved in it. Okay, then we're gonna add some new lines. Then we're gonna say last name. Okay, and then we have to have an submit button and reset button. Okay, how are we going to write the submit button? Again, you can use the input, and this time instead of saying text you can say it is a submit button. Okay, and then you can also have the reset button. Okay, and instead of showing reset you can say the text on the button as saying the clear form. Alright, so let's look at how this form looks like. Okay, so you have a beautiful form here. So we haven't changed the type. Okay, so type is double equal to. Alright, so you have your first name, then you have the placeholder of first name, last name, label, then the text box of with the placeholder enter your last name, then you have submit and clear form. Okay, so once we enter this data, we want to click on submit. So when you submit, it will go to this page, results.html page. Okay, so I'm going to copy paste that file. So this is the results file. Nothing fancy in that file, is just we'll have thanks for submitting the details, and we'll get back to you soon. Okay, the most important thing that you have to understand is what is this method get says. Okay, why is you are saying a method as a get? There are two types of form actions, get and post. So get is basically when you submit a result, let's say first and last. So when you click submit, right, you went to the results page, right, but you can see the data now, right? These are the variable names that we have given assigned to the input tags, and you can see the data here. This is called as get. When you say get, the form fields are attached in the URL. Okay, and we can even do post. There's one more type. I will simply do it post. Right, let's open it up and just change it to post. Okay, rest all remains the same. I'm just changing the method so that when the data is posted, it is posted not in the URL. So if I say first and say last and I say submit, you will see it's not attached in the URL. So that's how basically get and post works. So for the get, when you enter the data and submit, it basically goes into the URL. For the post, let's go back to our post file, right? So for the post, you can watch this in the inspect mode. Okay, you go to network. So let's click submit. So once you submit, you will not able to see the data, but if you go to network tab and then when you click open this file, you're able to see that in the form data here. Let's open that up. Okay, if you open up the form data, right, you should able to see the first name and the last name. So it is sending in the header as the post, but when you use get, basically it is sending as the URL. Okay, so when it is post, it is sending in the header. When it is get, it is sending in the URL. So that's basically the method called as method post and method get. Okay, if you want to send simple text that you want to send over to another page, you can use get. But if you say sending sensitive data like user ID and password or credit card numbers, you typically use post. All right. So where do you want to send the result to is done by the action attribute. Okay. So let's quickly look at the form elements now. Okay. So I've copy pasted this form file. So let's open this up and let's do a review of what are the form fields available. Okay. So everything you define should be defined under a form field. All right. And then there's something called as field set where you can group the fields. Okay. If you want to see the output of this, okay, this output is called as form field set, right? You see the line here is basically grouping of the fields. Okay. And you want to define, let's do a comparison with your code and the output. You want to define a legend, right? For the field set, you will get a legend where you can add some text over here. Okay. And then you have the label, and for which label you want to have this an input type is text. You will see the text box. If you say type as email, you will see for the email. You can say password, you can say number. So this only accept numbers. You cannot enter anything. You can just add numbers to it. Then you have telephone, type telephone, same input, type telephone, then type URL and type search. Okay. So you have different formats of text box that you can create. Okay. You can create options using the select. Select basically have option groups. You can create groups in it, option group 1 and option group 2. And inside each option group, you can create the options. And whatever label that you give will be visible in the option. Next one is basically the radio button. So if you want to create a radio buttons, you can use the input type and type as radio. Okay, so when you say type as radio, it becomes the radio button. And only thing that you have to remember in radio button is basically the name. You have to give the same name, then that becomes into one group. Okay. And how do you add the checkboxes? Again, the type is checkbox. So once you say input and type is checkboxes, the checkboxes will appear. And then you have text area element. If you want to write a long text like this, you know, type text in a number of rows, then basically you can use text area for it. Okay. Text area, you can mention how many rows and how many columns. The columns are the width, the rows is the height. Okay. Then you have the submit button. And here you have a student information form. So let's quickly review that. For name, you can use type as text and input. Again, for age, you can say input as number, and you can accept the email, telephone number. Then you have is select. That's basically the options. And you can add the primary and secondary as your option groups. And then you can have options inside the option groups. Then you can have the radio buttons. Then you can have the checkboxes. Okay. And then you have your comments, which is multi-line, that is text area. And then you have your send and clear button. Clear button is when you type something you want to clear, it's automatically clear, right? Okay, so that's are the elements of a form. You can have a look at the code here. I've written all the elements here, so you can have a look and then you can create your own form. Try to create a contact form. That's your next exercise, and try to use some of the elements here and create your own form as well. Okay, you can create a survey form, you can create, you know, maybe a employee form, whatever form that you think, maybe a sign up form, login form, but try to use these elements and try to embed them inside a form. Try to create a field set, legend, and put a label and different types of inputs that's available for you. And also you have learned how to do get and post. So try to see whether you can add some attributes to the form like action and methods, and try to navigate from this page to the results page. All right, so that's all about form elements, and I'll see you in the next one. Hello and welcome to the lecture on meta tags. And I believe you have done the exercise with the contact form, so let's go ahead and create one more folder called meta tags. Okay, and I'm going to copy paste the files here. Let's open and review these files. Okay, before that we will view the output of this file. Okay, this meta tag basically is not visible on the web page. This because this meta tag is written inside the head, and head tags are not visible unless there's a title. You can see the title here, but apart from that you cannot see any of the data written in the meta tags. So we'll understand some of the things that you write in the meta tag and what is the purpose of it. But as of now in this web page, if you see any output here is all coming of the body, but we'll not be dealing with body in this lecture. We'll be dealing with the meta tag, which is under the head section. So if you open up this file meta tags.html, so there are a couple of things you can do inside the meta tag. Okay, so first thing you can do is, for the SEO purpose, you can add description and keyword. The purpose of having keyword and description is to inform the search engines who are coming and indexing your page, to tell them this is the description of the page and these are the keywords I am ranking for. Means if someone search with these keywords into the Google, you might consider displaying my page with this description on the search engine. Okay, that's the reason you are writing description and keywords, and you are communicating this with the search engines. And if you want the robots to index, then you can say index. You can even stop them to say no follow, right? They will index, but whatever links they have, they will not follow it. Okay, you can even say no index, means they will not index this page. So you're basically doing some communication with the robots. That's nothing but the search engine programs that's basically searching all the pages. When they come to your file, you want to inform that don't index my page. Maybe it's information about my company and I don't want to be searchable by anybody. Maybe I have a private information. Then in that case, you can tell to search engine saying that please don't index my page and don't follow any links that is available here. Okay, so this way you're basically doing some kind of communication via the meta tags. So when you add your website for Google search engine to search your website, they will ask you to add this verification inside your head tag. Okay, this is how you can do that. So this basically, again, a verification purpose, you can use a meta tag. Again, you can use content type to tell what is the content of this HTML page. You are saying text/HTML and the char set is UTF-8. Obviously you have written 8, it's a duplication. You can remove it off, but it's basically you are telling a content type. When someone want to see what is the content type of the page, they will get to see this content. Okay, and then the most important thing is basically the viewport. So whenever this page is viewed from mobile or viewed from an iPad or from a desktop, you want to scale the images. Okay, what I mean by scaling the images, let me show you with an example. So if this is the page, right, and you want to change the size of it, let's say you're viewing this page from an mobile phone, and then the text and everything and the image you want to scale to that specific device. Okay, that's why you are saying put the initial scaling to 1, and width is basically device width. Whatever device that you have, make the width as exactly like that device, right? If you don't do it, then whatever width you are basically specifying, it will be static, it will not change. Means someone has to scroll the page inside the devices as well. Okay, so let's look into it. Let's do an inspect. Okay, what you can do is you click on this button, toggle device toolbar, then you get this responsive mode. And if you see the way it is sizing, you see the image, it is resizing to whatever size I'm doing for that page, right? It is resizing because I said please resize to the device width. Okay, if I remove that tag, you see what happens to the text now, right? You see it's not resizing. Okay, the reason behind it's not resizing because I have not told to the page to resize when based on the device width, right? It's not resizing. That's basically coming up from the viewport. Okay, that's why you will see in some of my other examples I'm trying to use this, so that when you view this file via your mobile phone or you view via tablet, then basically the content itself is sized to that specific device. Okay, and you don't have to worry about it. If you resize this, now you see it's nicely resizing. It's not going all over the place, but it's trying to resize itself to the device width. Okay, So that's the purpose. If you want to come out of this, click on this button again and then come back to the normal browser view. Okay, so that's the purpose of the viewport. Then you have content type to communicate with some other application that's trying to access your page, saying that what content type you are using inside this page. For Google to verify, you can mention Google site verification. There's many examples of it. They will ask you to put some tags inside the meta tag so that they can verify your page. Then you can communicate with the robbers to say to index this page or to follow the links inside your page. Then description in the keyword is basically communicating to the search engine to say what is the description that you want to show when the search engine results is found your page, and what keywords you are hitting for, means what is the primary keyword this page is using. Alright, so those are about the meta tags that we typically use inside the head section. And the main purpose of meta tag, as you have seen, is communicating with the other system that's trying to access your page, trying to control the viewport, trying to do some kind of verification, trying to set the content type of your page. Alright, so that's all about meta tag, and I'll see you in the next one.